Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into something pretty amazing, a culinary giant you've almost certainly never heard of. I'm talking about a cuisine that told emperors what to eat, basically built the foundation for all northern Chinese food, and somehow it's still one of the biggest secrets in the food world.
All right, let's start with a quick question. When you think of Chinese food, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most of us, right, it's probably going to be the crazy heat of Sichuan food, or maybe the beautiful, delicate dim sum you get in Cantonese cuisine.
And hey, that makes total sense. Those are the global superstars, right? They're famous everywhere for these huge, unforgettable flavors. They're what Chinese food is to a lot of the world. But what if I told you that the real powerhouse, the cuisine that was served in the Imperial Palace for centuries, the one that literally shaped the food of Beijing and all of northern China, is one you've probably never even heard of? It's like this hidden culinary mother of them all.
So, let's meet the star of our show today, Shandong cuisine, or as it's also known, Lu cuisine. And we're not exaggerating its importance. People have called it the sovereign of flavors. I mean, that's a pretty epic title.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Unlike Sichuan with its big, bold spice, or Cantonese with its subtle sweetness, Lu cuisine is playing a totally different game. It's not about covering things up with sauce or heat. The whole point, the ultimate goal for a chef, is to take what an ingredient already tastes like and just make it better, more itself. It's all about that pure, savory flavor. The key concept here is this incredible focus on freshness and balance. They have this term xian, which translates to something like salty fresh. But it's not just salty. Think deeper, like that umami-rich, savory goodness that just makes food taste incredible. And get this, because of this unique philosophy, Lu cuisine is actually considered the only one of China's great cuisines that kind of grew up on its own, without a ton of influence from other regions. It's the original.
And it's not just one thing either. It's really a whole family of cooking styles. You've got the Jinan style from inland, which is all about these incredible, complex soups. Then you head to the coast to Shandong, and it's all about super fresh, light seafood. And then there's the Confucian Mansion style, which is just this next-level, super elaborate banquet food with a ton of history behind it.
Okay, so let's head into the kitchen because this is where the magic really happens. A lot of people say that Lu cuisine is the most technically difficult of all the Chinese cuisines. I mean, chefs have to master something like 30 different cooking techniques. It's wild.
First, let's talk about a technique called bao. Now, this is not your typical weeknight stir-fry. Imagine a wok that is screaming hot, and you toss the ingredients in for just a few seconds. It's this explosion of heat that seals the outside instantly, locking in all the moisture and flavor. It takes some serious skill.
And then you've got pa. This one is more of a process. It's this really cool multi-step technique. First, you might coat something in flour and fry it to get it crispy. Then you hit it with a pre-made sauce and stir it all together super fast. It's all about creating these amazing layers of texture and flavor in one dish.
Of course, all that technique wouldn't mean much without amazing ingredients, right? And Shandong has this sort of holy trinity. You've got incredibly fresh seafood coming right out of the Yellow Sea. You have these famous Zhangqiu scallions. They're huge and sweet and amazing. And then there's the local vinegar, this dark, complex stuff that's famous all over China. That's the foundation right there.
So how does all that come together? Well, let's look at a true masterpiece, the sweet and sour carp. And trust me, this thing is as much a sculpture as it is a dinner. This dish is Lumni cuisine on a plate. You get that perfectly fried, golden skin that's unbelievably crispy. But inside, the fish is still super tender and delicate. And the sauce, it's this perfect balance of sweet and sour that just makes the fish taste more like fish, you know? It doesn't drown it out.
Okay, next up, a dish that's so famous, it literally ended up on the emperor's menu. We're talking about Daeju braised chicken.
Now, this is not just some braised chicken. It's an art form. It's cooked so low and slow with all these secret spices that the meat just falls apart if you touch it. But here's the crazy part. Even though it's that tender, the chicken is served whole. It holds its shape perfectly. It's just incredible.
You know, the flavor is deep, but the history? The history is even deeper. This isn't a new trend. Lujian cuisine's story goes way, way back, basically to the beginning of Chinese civilization.
We're talking roots that are over 2,500 years old. That makes it the oldest of the major Chinese cooking styles. But its big break, its time in the spotlight, was during the Ming and Qing dynasties.
That's when the emperors basically said, "We want those chefs from Shandong," and brought them to the imperial kitchens in Beijing.
And you can't talk about Shandong without talking about its most famous resident ever, Confucius. It was his ideas, his philosophy about food, about balance, about using quality ingredients, about preparing things the right way, that really set the stage for everything Lu cuisine would become.
And that royal connection? It hit its absolute peak during the Qing dynasty. There's this great story about the Qianlong emperor trying that Deju braised chicken for the first time. He was supposedly so blown away that he called it a wonder of all cuisine and demanded it be put on the official palace menu. And just like that, Lu cuisine became the cuisine of the court.
Okay, so, cool story, right? Emperors and ancient philosophers, but why should you, today, care about all this?
Well, here's why it matters. Because Lu cuisine isn't just a regional style, it's basically the culinary DNA of northern China. Think about the food in Beijing, or Tianjin, or anywhere in the northeast. They aren't just influenced by Shandong cuisine, they are direct descendants. They're all branches growing from the same ancient tree. So if you really want to get northern Chinese food, I mean everything from the famous Peking duck down to the dumplings your friend's grandma makes, you have to understand where it all came from. You have to get to know this incredibly important but super overlooked parent cuisine.
It's more than just history, though. It's really a whole philosophy about food. It's a reminder of what happens when you combine incredible technical skill with a deep, genuine respect for the ingredients themselves. So maybe the next time you're thinking about Chinese food, look beyond the usual suspects. Go looking for those quiet, confident, and seriously influential flavors of its ancient mother. You might just discover the key that unlocks a whole new side of Chinese cooking you never knew existed.